Well, hello and welcome again to our reading of selections from Thucydides, Book 4, and we're up to chapter 29. Now, the subject of the participle is Cleone from the previous section, and so when he had completed all his business, so when he had arranged all the matters in the assembly, in the ecclesia, genitive absolute, and the Athenians having voted ton plume, literally the voyage for him, so this is the military, the naval expedition for him, and pros el ominos from pros hyrio, and the aorist of hyrio is halon and the stem is hell, so this is the aorist participle here, him having chosen Demosthenes as one of the generals in Pylos, or perhaps having chosen one of the generals in Pylos, i.e. Demosthenes, he began to make, he began to prepare to make the anagoge. This is the setting out to sea, the putting out to sea. So, and diatacus quickly, so immediately or with speed. So he quickly made preparations for the sea voyage. He took along Demosthenes, perceiving, present participle, that he, that's Demosthenes, to have in mind the apobasis, the landing on the island. For the soldiers, kakopathuntes, present participle, suffering badly. So these are the Athenian soldiers. For the Athenian soldiers were suffering badly by the lack of space, literally by the scarcity of land. So by the lack of space, and they were being besieged, malon a, rather than besieging. So being besieged rather than besieging, horomata, they were keen, diakinusai, to run the risk. So they were eager to risk everything, to run the risk. And the island, having been burned, this is the aorist passive participle here from empimprami, is the verb. So the island having been burned provided for him further arome. Now arome literally means strength, but probably here confidence. For previously, genitive absolute, it being, so it is the island, it's feminine, so agreeing with Nersos, it being hulodus, it being very woody, epitopolu for the most part, and without paths. Now this is agreeing with island, but it is a two-termination adjective because it's got an alpha privative plus this trivial root of path. So being without paths, because it was continually desolate. So previously he was frightened since the island was woody for the most part and without paths because of its isolation, perhaps. And he considered this to be malon pros ton polemion, rather in the direction of the or to the advantage of the enemy. So he considered this to be more to the advantage of the enemy. For now we get accusative and infinitive constructions here after this verb nomisto here. So understand, he considered that they attacking, and it's taking a dative, a large army as they were disembarking, that they attacking from an unseen place, that the arm goes with the infinitive, that they would do great harm. So it's something like then, he thought that if they attacked from an unseen place a large army as they were disembarking, they would do damage, they would do great harm. Now we get a men, and the debt is going to come down here. Keep an eye out for these because they do help you to get the sense of what's happening here. Again, accusative and infinitive, I think, after this he considered. The hamartias, the mistakes of those people, that is the Spartans, for their mistakes and preparation, because of the wood, because of the forest, would not be likewise clear specie to them, that is to the Athenians. So they would not be in the same way clear to them. So just to do that again, so he thought that their mistakes and their preparation because of the forest would not be so clear equally to themselves, to the Athenians, but now unfortunately the page break here, the next word on the next page is hamartemata, all the mistakes of their army, that is the Athenian side, would be kataphane, or would be visible, would be easily detected. And there's the ta hamartemata. He uses hamartia in the previous bit and hamartema here, probably just for variation. I don't think there's a great deal of difference between the two words. These neuters in ma are becoming more common in slightly later Greek. Now we get hosty plus infinitive here, so that they, that's the Spartans, would prospipto, of course, is to attack, fall upon them, so would attack them, apros doketos, unexpectedly. Hey, now this is for something like hodo, at the place in which, so it's often used as wherever, and we get an optative here because it's totally it's an indefinite construction here, so wherever they wanted to. And he thought that the epikerasin, probably something like initiative, it's the attempt here, that the initiative being epikenois, well, on their side, so in their power, and the ekanos is referring to the Spartans. So he thought that the initiative would be in their power. But if he might force them, homosi ianai is an idiom here. It means to be to come to close quarters in fighting. So if he should force them to come to close quarters in the thicket, literally in a shaggy part of the land, in the thicket, he considered the lesser number and more experienced. He thought they would be the lesser number, but who experienced in the land, so who knew the country. He thought they would be better than, it's taking a genitive comparison, better than the larger ones who were ignorant of it. And understand again this Nomizdain here. He thought that their own army, being so large, if it were damaged, if it were cut off, destroyed, it would escape their notice, so they wouldn't see that it had happened. We get a genitive absolute. They're not being proopsius. There was no way of seeing it beforehand, of looking ahead. So since they were unable to see at what point it was necessary to render aid to one another. And that's the end of that chapter.